Hi everybody, it's Ian the Off Kilter Crafter. I hope you're having a great day today. Today I'm going to be making this card. It feels like to me a little more of a masculine card, so this would be a great one for the male figures in your life, whether they be friends, husbands, boyfriends, kids, any of the boys in your life. This would be a great card for them, and even though it is a very clean and simple card, I think it is perfect and it really is a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and put this card together. Today I'm going to be using some Distress Oxides. I'm really falling in love with the Distress Oxides, and I've made the mistake of ordering a whole bunch more. I said I was not going to get another ink pad line or anything like that, and especially when they first came out I wasn't like thrilled over them, but the more I play with them the more I absolutely love them. They're so easy to blend. They blend like butter, smooth, and there's so many great things that you can do with them. I think y'all remember the card that I made, this one. I just love how the colors are just so vibrant and you can do so much with them, and like I said, they blend so easily. I highly recommend them if you are somebody that has trouble using the Distress inks and blending. It takes all the work out of it for you. You just get to have fun with it. So I highly recommend it, and definitely give them a try if you're having trouble with blending. This is not sponsored by Tim Holtz, as much as I would love for it to be. Not sponsored by Tim, and this is my own opinion. Just absolutely love them. Alright, so we're going to use Wilted Violet, Fossilized Amber, and Broken China today, and we're going to be putting it onto some Nina Desert Storm 110 pound cardstock. Now this is really magical. It's another reason why I love the Distress Oxides, because all of the pictures that I've seen and videos that I've seen where people use the Distress Oxides on Desert Storm, it's like it takes on a life of its own and just is very, very bright and vibrant, even though it is on a darker cardstock. So today we're going to use that cardstock along with this stamp set from Mama Elephant called Basic Borders, and I haven't quite decided which stamp I want to use. I can't decide if I want to use the solid stripe or the kind of slashed stripe. I don't even know what you would call that. Anyways, I don't know which one of these I'm going to use yet, but I am going to be using my Misty stamping tool, which is kind of redundant because it stands for Most Incredible Stamping Tool Invented. Don't know if I agree with that statement. You can check out my review of the Misty versus the Tim Holtz stamp platform from Tonic, but we won't get into that one today. But I am going to bust out the Misty, which I have not done in a long time, and the reason I'm doing that is because I have the grid paper. Honestly, I probably could have done this in the Tim Holtz version, but this was actually closest at the moment, so I went ahead and just grabbed it. I am going to first of all separate my magnets so that way they don't collide, and I'm going to try and get this as close to centered as possible. I think I'm going to be right about here, and put my magnets down, and I want to kind of square it off on the grid paper so that way when I move it up and down I know where to go, and I'm still debating which one I'm going to use. Alright guys, I think I finally made my choice. I have gone with this solid image. I don't know why, I think this is, I don't know. Sometimes you can't explain your crafting decisions, they just kind of happen. I think it's going to be the solid one. Let's just hope that I can ink it up nicely each time. Oh wow, this is a really, as you can tell, I have not used this one before, so it is very, very sticky. I'm gonna have to condition this one to make sure it's not gonna be sticking to my paper each time I do that. Wow, that was very, very sticky. All right, it feels like it's conditioned a little bit now and will work out well. So let's go ahead and try to recenter my paper. I think that's about where it was, more or less. Let's check just to make sure. Nope, it was actually one over. Glad I checked. Alright, right there. Was this it? That looks pretty good. Alright, so we'll put the magnets back on it. And like I said, I'm going to be using the Distress inks today, and making sure that I clean it up very well using a baby wipe and a paper towel after each color. We're going to be shifting the paper up and down. That's why I'm kind of starting off in the center here, so that way I can move it up and move it down at an even rate or an even amount. I think the first color I'm going to grab today is Wilted Violet. Love this color a lot. And that's another thing that I love about the Distress inks is they stamp very, very nice. And you don't have to worry. With the Distress inks, they don't stamp very well. With the Distress Oxides, you can usually get a pretty good impression. Now the cool thing is, I don't have to get it perfect. If this image doesn't come out perfectly, I am using the Misty, so if I really wanted to, I could stamp it again. But honestly, the Distress look may even look better. So let's see kind of what happens. I am going to walk my fingers across this line so that way I get a good impression and good pressure, even pressure, how many times can I say pressure? Across the surface. See, that's not bad. I'm actually really happy with that, and even though it's kind of distressed, I'm okay with that. I'm not worried about it. So I'm going to continue doing that. I'm going to grab a baby wipe and clean off the stamp, and then we'll start moving it up and down. I am going to speed this part up because it'd be kind of boring just to sit here the entire time for that. So enjoy! Alright, now that I have the stamping done, really like how this background came out. The colors are so vibrant on this darker paper. I love the distressed kind of imperfect stamping look. I think it's going to work out great. The next step I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Everyday Greeting stamp set from Concord and Ninth, and I'm going to use, good question, what should I use? Should I use the Happy Birthday one? I think I'm going to use the Happy Birthday one, because I seem to be in short supply of Happy Birthday cards, so we will use that one, and I think I will put it basically smack dab in the middle, right there. Is that straight? I hope so. If not, yeah, whatever. Close enough. Looks like it's pretty well centered and as good as it's gonna get for me. Put that there, and then make sure that my card goes back into the corner again. That's a good thing about stamping tools is you can always make sure that they end up in the same place every time. Now I'm gonna try something. I don't know how clear is gonna look over this because I would like to use that and see what happens. But worst case scenario, I do it once with the clear and then once with the silver to give it an even puffier look to it. So we're gonna start off with the clear and see what happens. I'm using some Versamark ink. It's a clear sticky ink, which will allow my embossing powders to stick to my greeting. So I'm gonna ink it up nice, just like that. The good thing is, usually you can kind of tell how well your stamping went whenever you pick it up. Looks like I did a pretty good job, so I'm gonna go ahead and use a coffee filter to catch some of the clear embossing powder, and we'll put our first layer down. And per the usual for me is, now that I'm holding it up, it is definitely not centered and it is definitely at an angle. Whatever, it doesn't matter. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that again. I like how that looks, and it just might work the way I want it to. It is a little more subtle than what I'm hoping for, so let's do a second layer of embossing powder. I know I could have just kept it warm and added that embossing powder on top of it, but I was a little too slow. I was inspecting it a little too long. So let's go ahead and, oh my goodness, as I'm pouring it everywhere. Let's go ahead and pour some embossing powder on top, and we'll heat that up and do it again. I just looked up at my camera and realized that the autofocus was on again, so if it ever went out of focus during this video, I apologize. Anyways, so this is good. I like it. It is very subtle though. It's better. I'm still not pleased with it though, so I think we're gonna go ahead and funnel the clear embossing powder back into its, oh, and I got embossing powder everywhere. Oh well, typical crafter. We're gonna go ahead and switch over to the silver embossing powder and put that on top. You have to be careful whenever you're doing a lot of heat embossing and make sure that your paper doesn't warp too much. Mine is really starting to warp a lot. It's not a big deal. I can always stiffen it up or straighten it out again using my die cutting machine like my Cuttlebug, or just use some extreme adhesive like the Tombow, you can't see the name, like the Tombow extreme adhesive, which I'll probably end up using for this anyways. But you know, just try to be careful with it, because yeah, it's harder to fix when it's kind of like that, but no big deal. You can. Looks like I have some strange embossing powder here. I don't know what caused it to make that form, but for some strange reason there's some embossing powder that's just hanging out here at the top, so I'm using just a soft paintbrush, watercolor paintbrush actually, to go ahead and try and remove as much of that as possible. Alright, so now that I've heat embossed it, it looks a lot better. I like it a lot better. But what's interesting to note is if you mix embossing powders, just FYI, pro tip here, haha, pro, but anyways, if you mix embossing powders, they're gonna melt into each other, which means that some of the lower levels will actually kind of come up to the surface, while some of the surface will go down to lower levels. So it's kind of hard to see, and if I focus in, let me see here. Maybe kind of hard to see here. Let me see if I can focus the camera. My camera is refusing to focus that close. It really doesn't pick it up too well on camera, but you can kind of see a distressed look to these letters because there is some clear embossing powder that is raised up to the surface of that silver embossing powder. Again, it may be very hard to see on camera. I don't know if y'all are going to be able to see it at all. But it's very interesting when you look up really close to it, it has a very distressed look to it, which actually fits quite well into the theme of this card. And to finish out the card, I'm going to use some Tombow Extreme Adhesive and just run it along the edge of my card base. This is 100. I hate it when this happens. Just be careful when you're using your Tombow Extreme, so that way this doesn't happen, and then it's really hard to get it started again. Just be very careful. I have never been able to get the trick just right for it to flick off. Anyways, using Nina 110 pound cardstock for the base. It's solar white. I think I already said that, but if not, there you go. This is the card base paper that I choose the most when making my card bases. But as you can see today, I'm kind of playing around with that Desert Storm cardstock. Gosh darn it, this one is just fighting me sometimes. It really is very strong adhesive. Okay, anyways, so now we're gonna put the card front onto the card base. And this always gets a little tricky as well, but I'm gonna try and line it up as best as I can. All right, there we go. There is our finished birthday card. I really like how it turned out. It's a very clean and simple card, but sometimes those can be the most impactful, and especially I feel like this is a good one for your male friends or your male people in your life. I think this would be a great card to give them because it feels a little more masculine. Not all cards have to be rainbow colors, butterflies, sparkles, flowers, and all of that jazz. They can be pretty simple as well, which is perfect for many different occasions and for many different people. So that's my challenge to you this week, is to create a clean and simple card that would be great to give to your male relative, friend, son, all that kind of stuff. Make sure to hit me up on my social media links. Those are listed down in the description below, and show off your card that you created for my challenge. Also, while you're checking out my social media links, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. It says subscribe and has a bell icon next to it. Click that bell icon so that way you're notified every time I post a new video or go live. They're free notifications from YouTube. Also, hit that big thumbs up for me if you liked today's video. That tells YouTube that you like my video, and then hopefully YouTube will share it across YouTube land. I hope everybody has a great day. Remember guys, keep it off kilter. Bye!